Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Put Work In podcast. Today we have Troy Smith.
Hey.
So we have not officially met. Peyton
Yeah,
was
other
like, Peyton
other
was
than I've
like,
seen you
who's
like
this
running
guy?
around town.
Yeah.
And
Hey, I feel that made me feel good when you were like, I saw you running the other day. I was like,
yeah,
I had
for
somebody
sure.
at the gym say, like, yeah, I see you running down behind Walmart and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay.
yeah, we run on different sides of town.
Yeah.
So Peyton was like, who is this guy? I've never heard of him before.
Yeah,
It's
I haven't either. So
Surely you have seen his signs around town.
my ugly mug is all over this city. I'm so sick of seeing my own face.
Well, you still got a month and a half.
46 days. 46 days, and it's over.
Every 6
So-
days having your face everywhere.
I mean, since we mentioned it, tell us what you're running for.
So I'm running for coroner. I'm running for the one office that nobody wants to see me after I'm elected.
Yeah, that's true.
And it's kind of a morbid job, but kind of goes hand in hand. I'm a funeral director, and so
Makes sense.
it's a unique thing. It's not for everybody, but it's been good to me as far as my career and just trying to work to serve Panola County. I have a unique perspective in that, a lot of people were born here and didn't really have a choice to live in Panola County, but I got to make the choice to live here. And in my opinion, yeah, we have our flaws, we have our faults, but I don't feel like there's really any better place that you could live and raise a family, as far as being a good community. And so just love every minute of getting to meet everybody. And that's kind of what I've been doing for the last year is running for coroner.
Okay. I always thought it was a very, like, I see the signs. I've always thought that was a very weird position.
Yeah, it is.
Elect somebody for.
That's the number one surprise that I get from people is that's an elected position. And yeah, for whatever reason, our great state has chosen to elect the coroner like that. And really, it's kind of funny because when you look at what you have to do to be a coroner, the law says you got to be 21 and have a high school diploma. So basically, you have to have a pulse. And you can be the coroner. So, that's unique as well. But somebody's got to do it. All 82 counties have to have a coroner, and I'm hoping that I get to do that for Panola.
Yeah. So what does a coroner do officially?
I'm glad you asked about it. Didn't want to.
Yeah, it's actually a lot when you look at the job. There's a lot of people who think that the coroner just basically says, "Yep, he's dead." It's a lot more to that. The two major, I guess, roles of the coroner are to determine cause and manner of death. So manner of death, you've got four. You've got natural, accidental, homicide, suicide. The coroner investigates every death in the county. That's the person's not under the care of a physician. And from there, through the investigation, determines whether or not it's a natural death, whether it's accidental, homicide, suicide, and then certifies that death certificate. So it's actually a really big job when you consider that your coroner is also, when you're dealing with situations like murder cases, things of that nature, your coroner is not only going to be responsible for that investigation, but if you have to go to court on that, you have to represent the county. That's going to be the coroner going in there to give expert witness, if you will, of what they feel like happened and transpired to cause death. It's a 24/7 job. It's 365 days a year, 366 in leap year. We don't get holidays, vacations. Death doesn't take a holiday. And so, it can be morbid to talk about, but it's something that somebody's got to do. And it is a big job within the county as far as working with not only families but law enforcement, fire departments, all of that. So it's a lot more than what most people realize that it is.
So
So
you're
that's go ahead.
pretty
Peyton.
much one of like the first people, like if 911 gets a call, there's a wreck,
Yeah.
let me not say wreck. Let's just say 911 gets a call,
Yeah.
and it ends up being a deceased person. You're one of the first people they call.
Right. Yeah. If you listen to if you have a scanner or anything, if you're listening to the traffic on there, if you ever hear them call ME1, ME2, that's code for the medical examiner, investigator, if you will. We're investigators, we're not medical examiners, but you'll hear them call ME1 or ME2, and that is that's a signal that they need the coroner. There's been an apparent death. Now, they can be pretty sure there's been a death that has occurred, but the coroner legally has to go out and say, yes, this person is dead.
So whether or not, no matter what, like if it's a deceased person, you have to go.
Yeah.
And
So
confirm pretty much.
the best way to describe it is, if you're in the hospital, you're like in ICU, something like that, the doctor can certify, the death certificate, certify the death. But if it's anything else, if it's a hospice case, if it's just a death from a car wreck, from a suicide, anything like that, basically anything that's not an inpatient in the hospital is a coroner case. So pretty much every death, within the county, we will have jurisdiction over. Great conversation, right?
Yeah.
I've left you speechless, so I've done a good job.
Where do we go now? Well, I'm glad we're knocking that out.
And look, we don't have to talk about coroner. We don't have to talk death, election, all of that. I'm open for whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wanted to hit on that a little bit because that's something you're doing.
Well, you see, I'm a weirdo. You can see my mug here is a Brush with Death podcast. So I am a podcast enthusiast, and that's my weirdo mug.
Well, my mug is just a can of energy drink.
Yeah, that's okay. If I had that, I'd be probably there. You go, hotty toddy. Hey, come on, we got Bama tomorrow. Beat Bama.
Yes, sir.
I think we can do it.
Yeah, I think so too. We were you were at the game Saturday?
I was. So I let my season tickets go this year because of running for office and I not knowing, if I could get to the games and everything. And I'm kind of cheap sometimes. So I've just been buying the games that I could go to. So I went last week and plan on going to LSU, but not sure of anything else. Yeah, it'd be good.
It's going to be. I'm more nervous about the LSU game than the Bama game.
I am too. But still got to remember it's Saban. It's Saban. Anything can happen
at Bama.
And what are the what's going to happen? What's going to happen? When they're on the heels of losing twice in a row at home.
Right. We'll see.
We
can only do so much.
2:30 tomorrow.
Yeah. I'm excited. I've been waiting for it all.
Yeah, I'm
week.
glad this podcast is not at 2:30 tomorrow. I probably would have had to decline.
It would just have to be a live reaction.
Yeah, we just have to do play-by-play, right?
We actually, me and Peyton went, and my wife. It was his first college football game ever. Georgia
really?
Tech game last week.
How'd you enjoy it?
I mean,
or did you enjoy it?
There's a little electric out there sometimes.
Yeah.
I've never been much of a football player or person, so.
Well, I'm not a football player. I'm 5'8". I mean, they would throw me around the field.
But I've never been much of a fan of football, but it seems to be all my friends are fans of football, so I guess I have to have something in common with them.
Well, so here's the thing. I catch a lot of flack from this. I hate pro ball. Like, I have no desire to watch pro ball. To me, it's just like, okay, whatever. Now, college, I get behind pretty strong.
Yeah,
so
me too. I don't. Sometimes I'll watch like the playoff games. I'll keep up with what's going on, but I won't watch pro. Like
Well, I keep up with what's going on just from Yeah, just people in the office. I got our office manager. She's a huge Saints fan, and so I hear about Drew Brees and the gang, and for the last year, I've heard about the Saints more than I've ever heard about the Saints. I've only worked here for a year, and so I get a lot of pro ball exposure here that I don't really doesn't really amount to a whole lot.
I've always had trouble rooting for like any pro teams because I like teams that represent, like Mississippi or close to me,
Yeah.
Well,
which is
so
why
here's like with me, the whole deal with college ball versus pro ball is I feel like college guys, they're competing for something. They're a lot of those guys have hopes to move to the NFL.
They're hungry.
Yeah, they're hungry,
You
right?
can tell.
I mean, there's no rivalry like watching guys that are trying to rise to the top. And so I feel like that once you get to the pros, people have fun watching the game, but kind of the competition's gone.
Yeah.
they're
I've always
already
thought that
making
too.
$100 million, so they're just like, screw it.
They're
I don't
trying
have
to-
work hard.
They're trying to have longevity and like not get hurt. The other guys in college, they got 4 years. They
Right.
got to get it done.
That's right. So that's always, that's kind of where I stand on that. But I'm kind of a diehard, Ole Miss fan. I tell her I paid them too much money not to support them.
You went to Ole Miss?
I did. I went to Ole Miss. My wife went to Ole Miss, and so like I say, I kind of don't have a choice.
Where are you originally from?
I was born in Memphis, but for all intents and purposes, I'm from DeSoto County. So I graduated high school in Olive Branch. Back when the Olive Branch South Panola rivalry was the huge rivalry, and so that's kind of my days of high school.
So how old are you?
I am 33.
33. Yeah,
I'm old.
That was prime time South
It
Panola.
was. Yeah, I graduated in 2008, so I can remember. It's kind of odd now that you see kind of how your life brings you, full circle. It's kind of odd because I spent a lot of Friday nights in Panola County. So
is South Panola even considered good anymore?
Good, but not great.
I assume about as good as Olive Branch. Olive Branch's days are kind of. So here was the deal. Back when I was so I graduated the year after DeSoto County started splitting up the school district. So back then at Olive Branch, we had like 2,200 students at the high school. And when I was in 11th grade, they started opening Center Hill, DeSoto Central, all these other schools around up there, and they started splitting up Olive Branch. So like there was 427 people in my graduating class. And that was, after that, it went down to like, 250, 275, whatever. But they kind of gave you the option if you had been there, if you were in 10th grade or below, you had to go to whatever the new school was in your district. Like if you were at Olive Branch, you might have to go to Center Hill, DeSoto Central, whatever, Lewisburg. But if you were 11th or 12th grade, you could stay. So I got to stay. But that was back when, like I said, the South Panola Olive Branch rivalry was big. And then it got so small once they split the schools up, we actually dropped from 6A to, I don't know, they dropped it to 5A or something like that. And so it kind of messed everything up. But
yeah, I remember back then it was like 5A and they moved to 6A. So when we were in high school, it was 6A.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have 7A. And I'm pretty sure South Panola is either a 6 or a 5A now.
Yeah.
Because South Panola has always been like the smallest school in the division.
Well, I'm going to tell you. So we had a running joke. We knew we were going to. I mean, yeah, we'd like to think we were going to win, but the running joke was that at South Panola, they fed the players that didn't make the team to the ones who do. Because there was like, you'd come down here and it was like those are like 25-year-old guys out there playing. And anyway,
yeah. So every Thursday when I was there, I was a very small person back then. I probably weighed like 120 pounds max during high school. And so I was a manager. I was the camera guy. I got 2 state rings. So anybody want to make fun of me? I don't have a ring. I do.
There you go.
So,
That's right. You got the drip to prove it.
I always was telling folks, look, I'm going to get a scholarship. I'm going to go to a college. I'm going to be on the football team as a manager. And everybody was like, no, bro, you couldn't do that. Anyways, I didn't do that. I chose a different path. But every Thursday, they would give the players a big old sack of cakes. It's called Cake Day. Like Little Debbie cakes. Like 5 or 6 of them, just Thursday. Yeah. So they were carved up for Friday's game. And then they fed us before and after most games. So
your diet consisted on Thursdays of Little Debbie cakes?
Yes.
Oh, well.
Hey, that's
not a bad gig, you know. Yeah, you know. I don't know. Yeah. I like oatmeal cream pies.
That's why they were That's why they were big.
I like double-decker oatmeal cream pies and zebra cakes.
Yeah.
That's easy 500 calories per. So.
It's just
that's probably why I ended up weighing 228 pounds.
How much do you weigh now?
About 178.
Hey, dude, I'm bigger than somebody. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, but so I was 228 pounds of fat, you know, and you stack that on a 5'8" frame. It's one thing you got somebody that's 6'3" and they're 228 pounds. I mean, okay, big deal.
That's about right.
You know, 5'8", you know, I was like 5 by 5. I was like 5 feet tall, but 5 feet wide. So any rate.
5 by 5.
Yeah. You eat enough little Debbie cakes and that'll happen, you know.
I keep trying to tell Peyton he needs to gain like 20 pounds.
I'll try.
How tall are you? 6 foot?
Yeah.
Must be nice up there. How's the weather?
It gets pretty hot up here.
Lonely.
Yeah. Lonely.
So do you know Jordan Moore?
I do.
Yeah.
I know Jordan very well. If he's watching this, he's going to text me and give me crap about this. I actually met Jordan through I'm a pilot, and so Jordan and I actually met flying together, and he's actually I hate to say this because if he watches, he's become a good friend, and I like Jordan. I call him Smooth Vanilla. There's a story behind that. You can ask him. But that's Smooth Vanilla. Yep, that's right.
I'm gonna write Smooth Vanilla down.
I'm gonna tell you.
I don't think he's watching, but he did say something in the gym the other day. He was asking if you were gonna come on. Kenny G's watching. I had Jose a minute ago, so we have 2 people watching. I know of.
I said something. Well, I commented on that post that you did about podcast speakers or whatever, and Jordan texted me, and he's like, "So you're gonna be a podcaster now?"
Yeah, that's what he commented on. He's like, he's gonna be on your podcast, and he was like, well, he's a talker. He's a smooth talker.
Smooth talker.
So
coming from Smooth Vanilla.
Yeah, Smooth Vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton, take notes. Remember that.
I kind of want to jot it down somewhere.
Yes, just so you have some ammo.
That's right.
Yeah. I was going to comment on his Garmin run or something. It's like, good job, Smooth Vanilla.
Yeah.
So I could tell you a really funny story about Jordan's running, but I don't know if I'm be at liberty just to say that. So I'll just kind of hold it to myself.
So we had Roger. You know Roger Howell?
I do.
Okay. Well, he come on here and he talked for like 3 hours. So
I'm not going to talk for 3 hours.
Right.
I mean, unless you want me to. I mean, I guess I could. We could do like a marathon or something.
Yeah. Marathon talk. Peyton said he'll have to go. He's got to go to work tonight. He's on the night shift.
Oh, dude, you're a better man than me.
I don't enjoy it.
So I did that one time. Now, I still occasionally have to get up at night and, get a death call in the middle of the night. I don't have to work all night usually, but I would be useless.
Man. I hate it.
I work
for him.
My shift is 10:30 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
I've been going in at 10 for a little bit of overtime. I asked my boss yesterday or this morning before I left. I'm like, hey, y'all need me for anything? He's like, I mean, if you want to stay, you can. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm asking. Dude, my freaking eyes were getting blurry. I
Bye.
couldn't see. I'm like, dude, I need to go. He's over here like, I mean, if you want to stay, you can. I'm like, nope.
So I worked at Walgreens in a life gone by, and I decided I was going to do the overnight shift 1 week. And I vividly remember I took a break at like 4:00 in the morning. It was only supposed to be like 15 minutes. And so I went to my car and I was like, I'm just going to lay the seat back for just a minute and just rest my eyes. And I woke up at 4:45 and was panicking because I thought I was getting fired, but it all worked out.
That'd be the best thing, getting fired from night shift.
Like, that's like the
Relieve
worst. I mean,
me,
that's like the
please.
best case scenario, you know?
Yeah.
I keep trying to convince him to quit, but he won't. It's like he needs a job or something.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if it was a requirement. So we can get into some faith stuff. Just kind of hit. So Peyton, he doesn't really come from the. So you're tell us about what you do for a living. You say you are a funeral
which
director.
job? I've got like 9.
Yeah, you have like 7 jobs listed on Facebook.
Yeah. So I am I'm a funeral director. I work for Wells Funeral Home, and I worked for Memphis Funeral Home for 10 years. Drove back and forth, and when Chris's dad passed away, Mr. Tommy, he talked to me about coming to work here. So I've been here about 1.5 years. But anyway, I've been a funeral director and embalmer for almost 11 years, and I pastor a church here in Batesville. It's
Right
the
next to
Pentecostal
the- church.
Yeah, we were First United Pentecostal Church. We were on Pettit Street where the Grace Place is now. That was our building for 60 years, and we actually sold that to the Grace Place and just built a new church out by the funeral home on 35. So pastor the church, funeral director, and then my other stuff I just kind of do in my spare time. It's not really a job, you know. But I mean, I'm on a couple boards and this, that, and the other, and I'm an auctioneer. Actually, that's a fun fact. So throughout this whole campaign deal, I had to, during COVID, I got a wild hair. I was going to go to auctioneering school, so I did like this Zoom deal with Missouri Auction School. And so during campaigning, the fire departments were trying to raise money. They were auctioning off cakes, and they would have people get up and auction off, and they'd be like, "Who would give me $5? Would somebody give me $5? Somebody give me $10 for this cake?" And finally, I'm just like, "Hey guys, let me auction these cakes." And so I got to put my auctioneering skills to use for that, and it was fun. But I do a lot of stuff just because I like to stay busy. But my jobs are funeral director and pastor.
It seems like there's this misconception out there that pastors are just. I mean, there's some truth to that, like a small percentage of pastors that are just fat and lazy and just mooching off the congregation. But what I see is most of the pastors around here, like you and the ones I'm closer to, you, Roger, Brother Damon, and at Hosanna, and
right.
Ben Elliott. I call him my pastor. He's not like he's my pastor. But y'all are like go-getters, like the hardest working people. Like y'all have.
Well, so kind of here's the thing: in anything you do, you're going to have people that I'm not like trying to say people are slack, but you have people that are slackers, and you have people that are willing to, do whatever it takes and like to stay busy. And I'm one of those people that I cannot. I can't just sit and look at the wall. I've got to be doing something. And I pastor a church that is relatively small. I mean, we're less than 100 members. I mean, we usually run around, 65, 70 people. And it's not a demanding congregation. Now, yeah, there's times when I have to go do hospital visits. I have to, counsel. I have to, but by and large, they're very, an undemanding people, and I love them so much. And it's great to have good people. but I would not be able to fulfill. I would not be able to feel fulfilled, I think, if I just, if I just only did my church work, not because I don't feel like that's important, just because I want to have something to do at all times. And so I find ways to keep myself busy. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. And definitely a lot of the ministers around here are bivocational.
Yeah.
They've got a job outside the church. And I will say that Panola County, minister wise, is very fortunate. I feel like we've got some great ministers, great pastors that care about their congregations, but that also are willing to, do whatever it takes to better the community, better themselves, all of that.
Yeah, and that's kind of like our podcast. It's kind of started out more of a fitness thing, but
Right.
we really didn't want to keep it in that box and just do fitness because, there's more to it than just fitness, but just like generally people that are just go-getters and putting work in wherever they are. And also, we kind of had some internal dialogue about it like for a while, but like we wanted to be faith-based. We don't want to be faith-based podcast, like this
Sure.
isn't K-Love, but
Right.
We're Christians and we love Jesus and it's going to come out, so
Right.
Sometimes it's more explicit than other times, like I feel like for the first few episodes we were more just implying it and trying to figure out what we were doing, but
Sure.
We've had some pastors on. Peyton, you got anything? I'm trying to get Peyton to talk more.
I was waiting for you to finish, man. You got a point you're going for.
Yeah, I don't even know where I was going. I was kind of like rabbit trailing, but in my life, I feel like in my YouTube channel, which you've explored,
Right.
I feel like I've always been Christian. I've never really known how to. I've always been kind of nervous, honestly, to like step out as a Christian, but just because I always felt like a little like I wasn't ready. Like I didn't know the exact words to say, but the moment I started talking, like like a few weeks ago, even on the podcast, we just started talking about Jesus, and like definitely the Holy Spirit was just speaking through me. So
absolutely.
And I was like, "What did we just say?" Like I was like, "What?" It sounded like it was almost scripted, and I don't know. Me and Peyton thought it was cool. We showed it to our other friend, and he was like, "It was okay." So I was like, "Whatever."
Well,
but I wasn't worried about that. But
so that's my deal is I take a very practical approach to ministry and Christianity as a whole because, all right, I may catch a lot of flack for this, but there was a time when people went to church just because that's what you did. You went to church.
Yeah.
Well, now in our society, fewer and fewer people attend church and have that, I'm going to go just because mama went so what I find the best thing for me, the best approach for me is that I try to be a friend before I try to, convert somebody. Before I try, you're never going to be influential in somebody's life unless you're first their friend, unless they can first feel like that they can trust you. And so I tell my people at church, when we're out and about, you're the very first thing that you should try to do is to be someone's friend. And I know that may sound hokey, but the Bible says he that wins souls is wise. Okay. So you have to be wise in order to win somebody to God. And to me, I'm going to listen to what you have to say a lot more if I know that I can trust you as a human being, as a friend, and not just that you're trying to get me to come to your church. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
but it's kind of like this. it's not a perfect analogy, but if I go up and just punch Peyton in the face, we're just gonna laugh it off
Yeah,
because we're buddies. But if it's some stranger, I just go up and punch him in the face. It's gonna be a fight, and
that's
they're not
right.
gonna receive it the same playful way that even if I'm not literally gonna punch Peyton in the face.
It depends on my mood that day.
Yeah.
You might start some.
But we'll laugh it off, and we might butt heads about it, but
Yeah,
we're gonna get along. We have
and I'm very much not I'm not an in your face person as far as that is concerned. Because I just believe, I mean, I truly believe if somebody is hungry, if somebody wants more of the things of God, yes, we have to talk to them about it. Yes. But if you do it the right way, then you truly make disciples,
Right.
and you're not just, hey, I want you to come to church because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, it's the right thing to do, but be somebody's friend, treat them right. Because so many people are jaded, as far as their view with Christianity and church, and that's not the way it should be. But I use the analogy a lot that people say, well, there's fake people in church. Well, there's fake people everywhere that you go.
Yeah.
Even Mickey Mouse had a Goofy. So it's kind of my thought.
All right, so we got Owen Rains. That's my little brother-in-law. He said, "Say hey, hey Owen."
Hey,
Peyton, you gonna say hey?
I was gonna. Oh, hey. I was
what's up,
gonna
Owen?
take a topic that I'm sure Dylan was going to eventually ask.
I have a bunch of stuff. Like I'm hitting it all
Since
over.
while
in
we're
my
on
list.
it, okay.
All right.
The last pastor we had on, we asked, and of course,
Okay.
me and Dylan, we have our definitive opinion on this.
Hey, I don't know what I believe,
Uh-oh.
except I do.
Christians and self-defense. What are your thoughts and opinions on it, as far as like concealed carry or just self-defense overall?
I think that we have an obligation to. I'm going to take it off of myself. I have an obligation to take care of my family. I have an obligation to take care of my wife, my boys. That goes with anything that I do. As far as if I work, I'm commanded to provide for my family. That's what I have to do, and I think that goes hand in hand with protecting them, physically as well. Now, I'm not going to walk around looking for a fight, but I'm also not going to back down in the face of a threat, just because, yes, I'm a Christian. Yes, I follow Jesus' teachings, and in doing that, I always remind people say, what would Jesus do? Well, there's a story in the Bible where Jesus went into the temple and started cracking whips and turning over tables. So I remind people, when you say, what would Jesus do? Turning over tables and cracking whips is within the realm of possibility. And so we've got this idea that Jesus was just a very passive, person. But that's not true. Jesus would confront where he needed to confront. He would do it in love, and he would do it, with dignity, if you will, and tact. But he was not a pushover. And I think that we as Christians, yes, we have to exhibit an attitude that we do love everybody. I love the people that do things that I don't like what they do. But when it comes to the point of having to protect myself from my family, I absolutely believe we're within our, Christian parameters to protect our family, because we're commanded to do it.
Yeah, I think when we had Roger on one of the times, we've had him on twice. I don't remember which time we talked about it, but
The first
we
time.
asked him, and he made a good point. As far as like, he also makes a joke because if you come to our church, because I go to his church.
Yep.
If you come to our church, it's probably like one of the worst churches you could if you were trying to cause harm to people. Because there's several people who have eyes on every entrance to that building.
Oh yeah.
And with, pew pew on them. So
Yeah,
this,
I mean, you walk into our church on any given Sunday, and I can assure you,
you won't walk out. Well, maybe.
I mean, yeah, I hope you walk out.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can assure you that we have security detail in place, and will neutralize a threat if we need to.
Yeah, but he made a good point, because when we asked him, he was referring to himself as, you know, the pastor is the shepherd of a church.
Right.
And what's the job of a shepherd? That's to protect his flock.
To protect the flock.
The rest of the church. So whether that's being confined in the four walls of a church building, or even like, you know, out, like, let's say you're in a mall, you know, if at all possible, you could, I guess you could consider yourself a possible shepherd at that point if needed, you know. Now, usually you want to, like, you kind of want to avoid any kind of possibility such as that, but if it comes down to it,
if you
may have to become the shepherd of a flock in that situation and protect your flock.
Well, you know, and here and again, and I'm one of those crazy Christians that, you know, believe that you have to take the whole Bible into consideration. And when you look at the Old Testament, when you look at the nation of Israel, they were constantly involved in wars, and they were defending territory. They were defending their people, and it was ordained by God, you know. And so if you are to believe the scripture that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever, then you have to believe that if he wanted his people defended in the Old Testament, he wants his people defended in the New Testament. Again, totally different from, don't walk around looking for a fight.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you cannot just lay down and die, you know, just in the name of Christianity. And I'm a Christian. Being a Christian says I'm not going to go and look for a fight. That if somebody does something against me, I'm going to forgive them. Now, you know, I don't think in any way that tells us that you can't defend yourself. Matter of fact, you know, I would just encourage you not to come to my house at 2:00 in the morning and try to, you know, rob me, hurt my family. Because
it's like somebody said, they were like, you're valuing your possessions over somebody else's life, and the response to that was, well, they're valuing my possessions over their life.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a bogus argument. But
yeah.
Anyway, I won't. If anyone watching, you know, objects to that, I'm gonna take the good pastor way out of this. I'm gonna say whatever your pastor says, he's right. So do what your pastor says.
Of the podcast for the moment. So
yeah. Well, again, my opinion is that you, and it is just simply my opinion, but I think that you can look and see that Jesus was not a pushover. He would defend when he needed to defend, and I think that we have to as well.
Yeah, somebody comes in your house in the middle of the night, you don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah.
What they could do.
Yeah.
So we had a whole podcast on this. So yeah, what episode was it, Peyton?
Like 16, I think.
Yeah, it was like
15
the first.
Or 16.
We our other co-host left, and we went.
I think it was the second week after that, so that would have been episode 16.
A non-fitness topic. So, yeah, it was Christianity and self-defense. So y'all go back and listen to that. We kind of dive into all that, but we do like the.
Yeah, I think I may have saw a little snippet from it when I was stalking the YouTube page, just because I was trying to find out kind of what the format of the program was and all that.
But if we talked a lot about it, but we like to kind of hit on stuff like that when we have people on, just because we want to get. I want to get different viewpoints, and I mean, we haven't had anybody say otherwise yet. But I do know some people that I have a couple of people that I know are on the other side of it, and I really do want to have them on, just so I could, because some of that I could see where they're coming from, but I know what I believe. I mean, I've kind of been on for a while. I kind of straddled the line on some of that, but I know what I mean, with the family. It's a lot harder for me to just let somebody run over my family and not defend them. So that's where I'm at now.
And I was looking for, you guys go ahead. I'm just looking for something real quick that.
So Peyton wouldn't know anything about this, but there's a difference. Like, I'm going to ask you a question, but when I say Pentecostal, I'm not necessarily meaning Pentecostal denomination.
No, I understand.
Okay, there's like a difference between just the denomination, and then there's certain churches that you'd consider Pentecostal churches,
right?
Even though they're not necessarily Pentecostal. Is it a requirement for Pentecostal pastors to be able to sing? Because
No.
I saw you singing the other day, and I know another guy that was at a Church of God in he used to be in Pope, Matt Hill. I don't know if you knew him. He's been gone, but he can sing, man.
I know
it's a lot of Pentecostal pastors. I mean, the whole family that runs his church sings.
It's like I know Jeremy Hankins. He's a Pentecostal pastor.
Yeah. So Jeremy's son. I'm sorry, not son. Nephew. Stetson.
Yeah, he's drummer.
That dude can play the strings off a bass. But so here's the deal, and this is really I believe this is a part of it. So you ever experience a Pentecostal church? You'll notice right off the bat, music is a huge part of our services, and growing up. Especially me. I mean, I've only ever been Pentecostal. I mean, my granddad was a pastor, and when you grow up in that environment, you almost have no choice but to play some kind of instrument or sing or something like that. Now, I don't proclaim to be a great singer. I just enjoy, like, I'll go home, and the other night. That video on Facebook, that's kind of my stress relief. Some people go out and hit balls at the driving range. Some people go play golf, whatever the case may be, I'll go home and sit in my music room and I just play the piano. That's like my therapy. I don't do it for anybody else. It's for me. And there are people that are hands down better than I am. But to answer your question without dancing around it, I think that a lot of people, just because of the nature of growing up around that, I mean, it just kind of comes with the territory, if you will. And that may sound dumb, but growing up, I mean, you're taught to be involved at everything that's going on, and music is just a huge part of what we do.
Well, you see a lot of the people that are kind of in the music industry, like this, just like mainstream music industry, came from
a lot
church
of them.
backgrounds.
If you do research on a lot of mainstream secular artists, as well as like commercially recorded Christian artists, now you can find a lot of them have very deep ties to church, but not only church. Typically a Pentecostal church. And again, it's just that culture of music has always been important. It's hard to explain, but just when you're around that, for so long, it's kind of interesting to see the different artists and stuff that have ties to the church.
Yeah, it would kind of make sense though, because I mean, it doesn't matter how big the church is. Pentecostal church, they're going to have singing and stuff. So, I mean, somebody's got to do it. Church kids, people at the church. But the Baptist church, I mean, even the biggest ones don't always have, music, like a band. But nowadays, modernized churches basically all have music. But
yeah. So, and I'll tell you, kind of, this is, I'm not trying to give you a history lesson or whatever.
We're here.
But being being affiliated with a Pentecostal church has not always been just, oh, okay, you're Pentecostal. You know, Pentecostal churches were, I mean, they were like back in the day, they were like the outcasts. You know,
Yeah.
they were the weird people. You know, they were very exuberant and all of that. And
even
so
persecuted by the KKK.
Well, here's the deal. You know, and so when you with that background of being I guess not a mainstream denomination, so you didn't have the best musicians sometimes, you know, because the people that knew how to do everything, they went to the church down the street, they went to the Baptist church, they went to the Methodist church, whatever. So really and truthfully, a lot of Pentecostal churches, and ours is one of them. So before we had our building on Pettit Street, they had a building on Thomas Street, and the building there, when they originally went in there, had like it was. I mean, it was just like an empty room. But when they went to Pettit Street, they built the first building, and it was like dirt floors and stuff like that. And so a lot of times, like the Pentecostal churches would start with like people playing the accordion. Oh my! Like it was some dark days, you know. And but everybody kind of had to be involved, and everybody got involved, and that's the best way I can describe it. Is it was so much of a lot of time family effort that you had a lot of families that would really just kind of be the only thing that was happening, and it just meshed into what it is now.
Yeah, so it kind of makes sense. I like history.
Jordan's texting me.
There he is.
Yeah.
What's the smooth vanilla?
Yeah, smooth vanilla. So he told me I could tell this story. So he goes, all right, we're about to get way off track from the spiritual realm of things here.
That's
So
fine.
he used to run it like he may still, but when he lived over on Hunters Parkway, he would run it like 4:30 in the morning, and he'd run out by the Civic Center. Well, he texted me one morning. He said, "Dude," he said, "I just had something bad happen." He said, "I was running," and he said, "I got out back behind the Civic Center," and he said, "My stomach started hurting so bad." And immediately I know where this is going, you know. And he said, "My stomach started hurting so bad." And he said, "I hope there's not cameras back there." He said, "Because I just like dropped trowel right there behind the Civics." And I'm like, okay, dude. So that is the story from Jordan Moore. And he told me I could tell it. So if he gets mad,
he said
I've got the text to prove it. But anyway, that's my funny. Yeah, you got to do what you got to do, right?
It's better to just let it out, and then, I mean, going down your
So
pants.
I always wanted to find out, and I may go find Rodney Holly, see if he can run those cameras back a couple of years, because I would like to know what's caught on camera.
That would be funny. Good story. Good story.
Way off topic there.
So I can bring it back in.
I'm sure we can tie that somewhere to spiritual.
What is
a mess?
I'm going to write that down. I'm just going to put smooth vanilla.
Smooth vanilla.
I stopped running behind the Civic Center. I don't trust them RVs back there. Them campers.
Sketchy.
That's a camper community. I don't like them.
What is sermon prep? What does sermon prep look like? Well, you just, I know some people are like, just show up, and then you got some people that are like super in depth. I always, I've never been a pastor, but I've like had small groups where I was, supposed to teach something. I always procrastinated, and preparing stuff like that always kind of was a weak point because I'd procrastinate. So what does it look like to you? I know you have, I mean, you got Sunday comes around every week.
Yeah. Well, and for everybody that's different. I feel like that my approach is pretty unique in that I don't typically look for a topic, if you will, to preach about. I don't know from one week to the next what I'm going to preach about, and the best way I can describe it is I have a notes file in my phone, and I'll read something and I'll get a thought, or somebody will say something and I'll get a thought. So, case in point, I actually preached a message one time about, it was titled "A Gourmet Spirit for You." So I was in Collierville and I drove by Red Robin. It's a burger place up there, and on their sign it said "Gourmet Burgers and Spirits." And so that may sound odd, but that stuck out to me, and that's kind of the way God like speaks to me, if you will. And I don't mean to sound hokey, but like I tell people, God doesn't speak to me in an audible voice, and I don't believe He speaks to most people in an audible voice. And so I just kind of feel that tug, and I say, hey, there's something there, and so I read that sign as like gourmet burgers and spirits, and I began to think about how the enemy crafts things specifically, for individual people to try to take them down, because he's not all knowing, but we sometimes speak a little too much, and he knows what pushes our buttons, and he knows what gets us in the away from God, if you will. And so I fully believe that Satan's approach to each person is different. It's not a one size fits all approach. He's looking. The Bible says he seeks whom he may devour. So he's like a roaring lion that walketh about to and fro, seeking whom he may devour. And so if you've ever watched the Discovery Channel and see a lion hunt, a lion will wait and he'll watch for the weak. He'll watch for the weak antelope or whatever the prey is that they're looking for, and he'll wait until that one gets kind of disconnected from the pack, and that's the one he goes after. And so I very much believe that it's a methodical approach, and that Satan doesn't have a one size fits all approach. And so when you go back to sermon prep, that's kind of where I get things, just everyday life. I'll see stuff that sticks out to me, and then I'll start reading, I'll start studying. Hey, what does the Bible say about this? And that's kind of how I prep. Now, some people are totally different. Some people have like a schedule that they'll go by, and they know that on this Sunday, I'm going to preach about this topic, and they kind of know. I really don't know from week to week. And sometimes I'm in my office at 8:00 Sunday morning finishing up notes because I've just, figured out what I feel like God wants me to say that day.
Like going off of what you were just talking about how Satan kind of knows what sets you over the edge or whatever.
Yeah.
I swear, like, I don't know I guess it's more of a joke, but like I work as maintenance at a factory.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like he knows which machines I hate working on, so he just cuts them off and makes them screw up, and then that's probably one of
maybe you just don't like working on them and you rush and you don't do a good enough job fixing them. So now
shots fired.
They just break quicker. No, I'm just saying.
There's this one specific machine that we have that puts labels on buckets.
That one that caught on fire?
No, that was I caught that one on fire on purpose. That was something on else. But I can actually bring that video up.
Don't go on record of that.
No.
Since we're talking about
don't incriminate yourself.
No, it was.
I saw the video.
Oh wow! Yeah, that's a pretty intense fire.
Yeah, I put it on fire. But
you fired it.
Fired it up.
I work at a plastic plant, so that
Trying to melt it
What
down.
that was what we call a granulator, but somebody had put too much plastic in it and it melted the plastic, so I had to remelt the plastic to get it out. But anyway, that labeling machine I was talking about, it never wants to work whenever I work on it. Somebody can come and do the same exact thing I did on another shift,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll work for them. But for me, it won't. And I'm just like, there's a couple of machines that I'll work on that kind of throw me over the edge sometimes at work, and I'm just like, Satan, you need to chill out, bud. I'm sick of this.
So, that sounds, here's the thing. A lot of people think that, it's got to be something major that, the enemy may try to attack you with. It can be little things. It can be small things. But it's the little things that they build up and they become the big things. The scripture says that we're it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. It's the small things. It's not the major things. It's the little things. And so, definitely little things can affect you like that.
It's always the minor inconveniences.
Yeah.
I'll jump back to you too, Dylan, about the actual sermon prep, if you will. So forever I was what I term a manuscript preacher. So I would write everything down in my notes, everything.
Yeah.
Word for word. Now, especially since I'm pastoring, I can't feasibly do that for, 2 sermons a week, Wednesday and Sunday. I can't feasibly sit down in the midst of everything else going on. So a lot of my stuff now is bullet points. A lot of it's just, little notes.
I'm sure when
I'll
you
jot
first
down.
started, you probably needed that too. But now you're like, I'm sure preaching's a skill.
Well,
you've built up all those sermons. What was that? Oh, that's your mouth. You're making a noise with your mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a peppermint in my mouth.
I thought that was Peyton making a noise.
No.
He always makes funny noises. You've got all that past experience in there too. So even if you stumble, you're going to be fine and you're going to remember, because it's a skill. But at the same time, even if you don't have those years of experience, I mean, the Holy Spirit's going to help you either way.
Yeah, well, and I fully believe that. But I'm somewhat of a perfectionist,
right?
And if it's there, I know what I'm going to say, and I know that sounds really, really weird, but I got to a point where I would depend on my notes very heavily, whereas now I don't so much. I do rely more on that just flowing, kind of what I feel, and it works for me.
When I was in ministry,
everybody's going to be different.
When I was in ministry school,
Mm-hmm.
The guy that was the preacher, he was over the preaching class, which it was called preaching lab. I did not like it. I'm a shy person. That's the only reason. But
no, you're not. You do a podcast.
I'm not. I'm better now. This would be different if we had 100 people out here in front of us, but it's.
Now, see, here's the awkward thing about that. I am much better in a crowd than I am in a setting like this.
Right. So back when I was in school, he basically taught us just to do the bullet points, keep it to a minimum, your outline. And he even suggested not even having an outline, memorizing it basically, your outline. And he taught us a very good way to remember how to just flow through a sermon. But that worked great. And then, because basically, if, like you said, you'll depend on it, and some people will just end up reading it, and you won't have, it won't be, it'll be dry basically. But and then I have the youth pastor there that was at the ministry school. I interned for him, and he actually did, he wrote everything down. And he taught.
I did
taught the
for
opposite.
a long time.
and he does great. Like, I don't know if he still does that. He has a huge church in Tennessee now, but was a phenomenal
Everybody
preacher just
has
on the
their own
manuscript.
approach.
Yeah, and I know Brother Damon. I'm pretty sure he does the manuscript type deal, but he does go all. He doesn't. It's not everything, but it's like most things that he goes through in his sermon prep, and then when he actually preaches it, he'll add other stuff to it. But
yeah, I mean that's the thing. So I could write it out, verbatim, but you can preach the same sermon twice, and it's never going to be the same.
right.
I mean, it's never going to be the same.
Rabbits.
Yeah,
rabbit
absolutely.
trails.
Squirrels. Mine's
come up
squirrels.
with new
yeah,
stuff.
Right.
Peyton, how was your sermon experiences?
Yeah. How's your sermon prep, Peyton?
I usually wake up in the morning, shower, grab my guitar and stuff, head to church, and just listen to Roger's talk.
There you go.
I've actually, I have heard some of Roger preaching.
I have at the funeral home. He doesn't really get.
Yeah.
That's not really a fair assessment of
Yeah,
preaching.
I wouldn't say so. Man,
It's like every time he preaches, he talks about death. I'm like, I wonder why. It's at a funeral.
well, we're all gonna die.
Yeah. Yeah. Unfortunately, we are all going to
probably. Well, Peyton said he's gonna have to wrap it up. I mean, we could keep talking if you want, or we can just wrap it up for the day and then come back another time for a part 2. I've had a pretty good time.
Oh yeah, had a good time. So I'm good with whatever. It's I know you got to go to work and fix those machines that you hate. The label machine may go out tonight, so
Yeah, I hope not.
I might have to burn it.
We got 2 of them.
yeah, set it on fire.
Double trouble.
Anyway. Okay, well, that's good, man. We hit on a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
I really like to talk with you. I'm trying to think about what I was going to say. It's a good discussion. Good luck on your election.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Look, you've been through this the last few months too. You know, it's not for the weak need for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you said something about how many members do you have?
If you look at our actual membership roll, probably 50, 55, but attendees, typically anywhere from, well, I'll take that, like a couple of Sundays ago, we had 78 and then we had 79. So it fluctuates from 60 to 78.
There's one more thing I wanted to ask before we left, but saying that's a decent sized church, especially for
but when you consider, when we were on Pettit Street, now this was prior to my time, but back in the day, our church ran well north of 200.
Wow.
Consistently, and just gradually over the years kind of declined. But here's the deal. I'm in a unique situation where we've been there 60. We just celebrated our 66th anniversary, and I'm only the 4th guy in 66 years. So the first pastor was there for 33 years.
That's pretty good.
Next pastor was there 22. Next guy was there for 7, and I've been here now for 4. So
thought you were going to say he was there for 11. That there's a trend.
No, not a trend.
11.
Yeah. And I'm hoping, I'm gonna stick around for another, 30 or 40 years.
So you've said you've been there 4?
Yes, I've been the pastor there for 4.
How did you get into pastoring? How did you end up in this position? So you went to Ole Miss and you're a funeral director.
It goes back to my granddad was a pastor.
Okay.
I've been in church all my life, and I actually felt the call to preach when I was 14. And so I've been preaching almost 20 years. And I had, I've never not been in church. And since I was 14, I've been involved in ministry in some capacity. So I've assisted some churches, and, just was a lay minister in different churches. But, that's kind of for me. how it started was when I was 14. I felt the call to ministry, and I didn't know if I was going to be, a pastor, if you will, so I still did everything just like I had always done. I went to school. I went to Ole Miss, got a accounting degree, and then ended up going to funeral school. And so what's been unique is that ministry has tied very much hand in hand with the funeral world. I mean, you're dealing with people kind of at their most vulnerable times, and I guess it was, I don't know, I guess it was probably 10 years ago or so. I felt like that eventually I would pastor. I never in a million years thought I'd be in Batesville, but here I am and enjoying it.
Here we are. We're actually all three in Batesville right now, and
Yeah, that's right.
different. We're in the same town. It's just, what is a local? It's a local podcast,
Local.
but we're virtual.
Unfortunately, I have to get up and get ready for work. This was a good podcast. Nice to meet
we'll have
you,
to do
Troy.
it again.
You can
Absolutely. Thanks
you
for
can
letting
head
me be
out,
on.
and I'll outro with just me and Troy. You need to leave.
So, nice to meet you. Good luck on your run for coroner.
Hey,
And,
thanks, man.
We're gonna
see
get him
y'all
running
later.
fast.
Good luck with the
Yeah.
label machine tonight.
Yeah. Shh. Don't jinx me. Pray for me.
Hey, 2:00 in the morning when you're fixing that fiery label machine, I'm gonna be sleeping.
I'll see
Real
you.
weight.
I'll see you.
Just because I'm not on call tonight, so
Yeah.
normally,
I'll see you at 4:30, Peyton.
See ya.
So, good podcast, good talk. Hope to have you on again.
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Oh,
Just Facebook. Faith
yeah,
Tabernacle.
yeah. If you're talking about social media, Facebook is I pretty much am on. There's not many days that go by that I'm not posting something on Facebook. But yeah, we've got a church page, Faith Tabernacle. You can follow us there. I've got Troy Smith for Corner. You can follow me there. My personal page, Troy Smith. You find me there. In person, I'm usually always at the funeral home or around town. I frequent the coffee shop most every morning. And so, I'm very accessible. All you got to do is shoot me a text, shoot me a message on Facebook. I'm always game to meet.
All right, man. Well, really appreciate you coming on. You could just, if you want, you just hit that leave button.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
just let it upload before you exit out.
Sounds good.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
Take care.
All right, guys. Another podcast on the books, episode 36, I think. We had Pastor Troy Smith. Pretty good podcast. Appreciate y'all staying tuned. Look, y'all go put the work in. We have a 20-mile run in the morning. It's not very far from now, like 6 hours, and my foot is hurting, but I'm gonna give it a shot. See what happens. Y'all go put the work in. Put the work in on your fitness, on your job, on your faith, whatever you got to do. You know what you need to do. Follow us, Put Work In Podcast. Give this podcast a share, guys, and hit the description. Go buy you a t-shirt from Grateful Apparel. Go to my Amazon link. Get you something off of there. Support the channel, guys. Come on. But yeah, we're hitting a little bit of everything, man. We have pastors. Now, I guess you can call him a politician. Not necessarily a politician, but a funeral director. Coroner, future coroner, maybe. We're going to find out here in the next month and a half. But yeah, good guys. I really enjoyed talking to him. Hope to have him back. But I will see you guys next time. Dill the Young, Peyton.cook, wherever you find podcasts. We're there. Leave us a review. Check it out. Subscribe, like, comment. You know what to do. Do all the stuff and the things you're supposed to do. But we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.